All right, welcome everyone. So today we are going to talk about something extremely interesting, and that is basically about archetypes. And would like to extend my welcome to Nirupama, who's actually created the concept around it and have written a book. So I'm very excited to learn more about archetypes, especially in a very Indian way, right? That's what I understand. Um, so let me just introduce Nirupama. Dealing with technology at the same time, multiple windows. All right, so here a little bit of introduction about Nirupama. So Nirupama is a PCC coach and certified with DISC and Hogan assessment, and with professional background at McKinsey and Communispawn, GETHT, Cross Culture Consulting. She holds an MBA from Jamshedpur and is an author of um the book. It's a book powerful, yeah. As the creator of Six Feminine Powers model, she's a driving force in personal transformation. And Nirupama's diverse 40 years of experience span roles at GE Capital, Genpact, Citibank, and more. She's an independent consultant and influenced over 25,000 individuals across 75 organizations and is a strong advocate for gender equality. She's also a co-founder of My Daughter is Precious initiative, which focuses on educating girl child and empowering them to take life with little more rigor and opportunities. So that's Nirupama. Welcome, Nirupama. I'm very excited for this conversation and want to learn more about archetypes. How can they help in coaching? What's the relevance? What has been the context around it? What made you develop this and everything around that? So over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jaya, and thank you to the community, Abhyudaya community, for having me here. And it's a topic I'm very excited about, so always happy to talk about it. Uh, since it's a small group, we'll keep it interactive. I do have a few slides, so you can have a break from just looking at me. And my purpose is to share with you how archetypes have helped me in coaching, and specifically the six feminine powers that I created. So that's really what I want to talk about and share here. And as I said, we'll keep this interactive. I'll invite you to put things in the chat box, which we can pick up. And from time to time, I'll pause if there are any questions. I'm happy to take them. Okay. So I want to actually start with a question. And my question to you is, which you can type in the chat box, is what made you become a coach? Or if you're an aspiring coach, what has got you to the coaching journey? So why are we coaches? So it'd be great going into the chat and seeing what has drawn us to coaching. Mahi, you raised a hand. I don't know, is that something you want to share or ask? Or...
Yeah. So yes, I raised a hand because the curiosity was bubbling up. Um, and then answer to the very first question was drawn to coaching because some of the previous examples of experiences of life really brought an awareness. Hey, this is for me exactly. Okay. So, what was in my thought? It is the question about the archetypes itself. Because the first time I got to know about archetypes when I was dwelling with storytelling. Okay. And where I came across Joseph Campbell's archetypes. Okay. So I just want to understand, Nirupama, what is the inspiration behind building up something related to archetype? And what was the beginning, the seed for you that, hey, I need to work on this. I need to work around this particular tool. And then specifically in Indian context, that is something I was curious about.
Yeah, thank you, Ma. I'm going to answer that. And thank you, Ruchika and Meera, for putting that in and, engaging with individuals. And I love this journey of possibility. Thanks for sharing that, Neera. And that's really what drew me to coaching as well. So I was a facilitator for a long time before I became a coach, and I used to do these workshops, which I still love and enjoy doing. But I saw there was a gap in between people absorbing knowledge or getting skills and actually implementing that. I found that people's potential was not fully realized merely through attending workshops. So, which is why I began my coaching journey about 12 years ago. And it happened at the time when I got empaneled with McKinsey and they were looking for coaches. And my purpose in coaching is really to help people see their bright side and live their full potential. And in order to do that, overcome certain blocks, inhibitions that we have. And so I'm going to start by actually I'll share something which was connected to archetypes as well. And let me know if you can see this. So that's coaching using the power of archetypes. And this is from Carl Jung. And says the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light of meaning in the darkness of mere being. And Carl Jung is, in a way, I could say, the person who really brought archetypes to the fore. And I love this when he says, when you look inside, you awaken, and you look outside, you dream. So it was really about being an enabler for people to look inside. And I know all of us as coaches have different ways and paths. Some people use NLP or paths work, or you do various things. And I got attracted to archetypes because I was using them in the course of my work. So I read through archetypes. I love reading, and I said, oh, this is very powerful. And I used it in my workshops. And as I started engaging with archetypes, I became very excited by it. I am also an author. I love stories. I love watching movies, and I could see archetypes everywhere around us. So it seemed to me something very intriguing. I didn't do too much about it, but it was something I used in my workshops. And when I became a coach, I started to see patterns in the way people responded to coaching, in terms of the challenges they got to the fore, in terms of also living their true potential. So, which is when archetypes became very intriguing, and I started doing research into my book. And I was drawn to the word power. So my book is called Powerful, and I'll share more about it. And I started looking at power because I found coaching is also a way to help people connect to their own power, which they might have forgotten. Tapping into the power, and I use the word power in a way interchangeably with energy, but power had more meaning and excitement for me. So when I started looking at power, the first thing that struck me was the way in which people have been kept from their power. And I do bring a feminine lens and a view to this, but this holds true for, of course, anybody who's been marginalized and anybody who is at the receiving end of any kind of system, whether it's capitalism or racism or colonialism or patriarchy. The same strategies are used by the environment to keep people from being truly powerful and living their full potential. And I found a great link to what we do as coaches, because it's really about shifting people from feeling and being powerless to feeling and being more powerful. But to do that, we needed to understand what were these strategies. When I say strategies, it's nothing but messaging, conditioning, all the cues that the world around us gives, as well as very, very intentional strategies by those in power to keep other people powerless. So I'll quickly go through these strategies. The first is what I call deter, and I speak about this in my book. Deterrence is a strategy where people are threatened, where people are coerced, where we are forced to stay within certain boundaries. For example, the apartheid system did this, right? Danger, if you are not white, there is actual physical danger for you. Similarly with women, and that's why I'm bringing a gender lens, and I'm keeping this gender agnostic, but of course this is the work I do, so I'm very drawn to it. Women are told very often, don't do this, don't stay out after it gets dark, don't sit in a particular way, don't talk loudly, don't be visible. If you do that, there is danger, there is punishment for that. There's actual physical punishment. There's also social ostracization. And there is always a fear that something bad will happen to you, which is why even though, I do this book, I'm the mother of a young daughter, I do end up telling my daughter, be careful, stay safe, don't necessarily venture out. So what this does is keeps people from taking risks, from being bold, from speaking up, from being ambitious. So this is their deterrence strategy. And even people who are quite privileged, I would say, I would call myself a privileged woman because I have a lot of privileges. I still face some level of deterrence in my day-to-day life. Right? And it can be for whatever reason that it results in fear, anxiety, and hesitation. The second strategy is what I call diminish. And diminish really is about making people feel less capable, less competent, somewhat inferior to others. And with women, you can see that's why I use the example of fairy tales, that the messaging that we get is women are somehow weak, women need to be rescued, the man is more powerful. And if I bring it to the workplace or the common environment that we all live in, it's about saying you're a woman, so you can't do this. You can't do hectic jobs. You can't take up sales roles because women are not able to do it. And it's not just with gender. All of us have received messages in our life which makes us feel less capable. And I was coaching a very senior male leader who I thought was, very successful. But he spoke about the fact that he had a rural background and English was not his first language. He learned English only much later in life. And he felt inferior because people around him were more privileged. And somebody passed a remark about his English accent, and he actually started holding himself back and not speaking up in a global meeting. So that's what the diminish strategy does. Creates feeling of low self-esteem. It shows up as an imposter syndrome. It shows up as not speaking up, not putting your hand up, and always feeling a little less and feeling self-doubt. So that's the diminish strategy. The third one is the decorate strategy, which I found is a very interesting one and specifically true for women. Decorate is really the having to live up to impossibly high standards, right? So the super mom is actually a gift that one of my friends got. And she said, when I got it, I was feeling very happy. But after reading your book and going through this, I realized I was killing myself in trying to be super mom and super wife and super employee and super pretty much everything. So this makes you feel that if you don't conform to a certain level of perfectionism, you are not good enough. So I've seen this a lot, especially with women, but it works in many ways with anybody who feels that unless I win, which is what men are told to do, unless I'm the first, I am not good, and it results in stress, exhaustion, and self-doubt. And if I take a gender lens, women specifically have this huge onus of being good mother, good daughter-in-law, good sister, pretty much good everything, which puts a lot of pressure. And it's interestingly not just women in Asia, but if you've seen the movie Barbie, if you looked at even Western literature, a lot of this is very, very prevalent. So I'll go through with this and then I'll take some questions. That's okay. The fourth one is the divide strategy. And the divide, if you know history, was done very well by the British, where you divide up India and make kings fight against each other, make different religions fight against each other. And typically, when a particular group has power, in this case, if I say the men have power, it ends up in women fighting to be close to the source of power, which is men. And so I've actually heard this from a lot of women, that women tend to judge each other more harshly. And the divide strategy results in conflict and erosion of collective power. So we're so busy judging each other and trying to do better than the other women, trying to be prettier or thinner or smarter or whatever it is that we need to do to make ourselves better, that we don't come together as a collective and take up rightful power. So these are the 4 strategies, and you'll see this as coaches coming up in coaching conversations where people say, I can't do this, I shouldn't do this, I mustn't do this. So all of these come from the messaging that we've received from the external world, but it results in fear, exhaustion, self-doubt, and conflicts. Okay, so I'm going to pause here and invite you also to go into the chat box and see if you can recognize any of these strategies in your own life. I think it's always more fun if we can relate it to us rather than see it as a theoretical concept. And I've seen it plays out in my life, especially the decorate strategy, which keeps me always trying to do more, yet not feel good enough. Okay. So, Mahi, did you have a question? So also love to hear your responses in the chat.
So, Nirupama, interesting take is everything here, when I look at these pictures, okay, I am seeing all the women across. Okay, is that you're trying to portray that this could be the tool could be used only for women leaders?
So the specific tool, and I'll come to that, the tool I have designed is specifically for women, and I'll share with you why that is so. But these four strategies are universal. They
Yeah,
apply.
these are universal.
Yeah, the tool. I'll just come to the tool. So
So,
these are the four strategies. Yeah.
Sorry, Nirupama, I'm a little curious to know, when we go back to the times when men and women were being made, okay? So, there's one part of man in a woman and a one part of woman in a man. So what is called as masculine and feminine.
Yeah.
So why can't we see this as just a gender-based tool, a woman-based tool?
You're saying why can't, or why can it?
Why did not a kind of a why not just the tool just not for women? Why can't we use this for?
Yeah, I'm going to come to that, right? So the context is now that we have these strategies, I want to move to archetypes, and archetypes are gender agnostic. I completely agree that archetypes have nothing to do with gender. But now let me go to, therefore, the archetypes. What are archetypes? It's a very typical example, and this is the answer to what you say, is a very typical example of a certain person or a thing. It's an image that we have, it's deeply rooted in our psyche, and it impacts our collective unconscious. In fact, archetypes are the forces behind human behavior. So when I connect to an archetype, it means I think, I feel, and I act like that archetype. Our psyche is influenced by the archetypes that are prevalent in our culture and the archetypes that we have grown up with. And I'll give you some examples as well. Right? So there are stories that I've heard, and in the stories, there are characters, and the characters become deeply rooted archetypes. For example, if I tell you hero, typically when I tell you hero, you have a certain image. I'll say the hero is usually brave, the hero fights for the underdogs, and the hero is usually a man. So intuitively, I will connect hero with man. And if I have to intuitively say a caring, nurturing